Welcome to DAPs Magic Live. I am Mr. DAPs, and tonight I am joined by Murray and by Caitie as we celebrate all Disney parks, but mostly Disney California Adventure. And that is because Disney California Adventure, formerly known as Disney's California Adventure, yeah, you forgot about that, didn't you? It is celebrating its 20th anniversary tomorrow, which is hard to believe. Because I think at least Murray and I, probably Caitie, can all go back, can remember the beginning of Disney California Adventure. And so we thought tonight we would spend some time celebrating the greatness that is a Disney California Adventure and some of our favorite memories, particularly from 1.0 version of Disney California Adventure. We'll save 2.0 for a later date, maybe for a June 12th celebration at some point. 15th, sorry. Good job. But we are going to celebrate all that was Disney California Adventure 1.0. And the best way I can think of starting this whole thing off is by asking, what is your first memory of Disney California Adventure, or at this point, Disney's California Adventure, either before it was opened, when it had just opened, or after sometime it had been opened? And I think I'm going to let Murray go first.
Oh, no.
That seems fair.
Wow.
Is that fair?
I don't know.
I vividly remember my first look at Disney's California Adventure.
I can. I'm trying to think if it, excuse me, if it really, like, if it is a favorite one. I don't know if it's the favorite one. And as I have out, I have a map from that, as you can see, guest preview days. So the first memory I have is actually in that guest preview day time.
When was that exactly?
That was in January before it opened. And so my brother's birthday is around, not around January, it's in January. It's like, it's kind of, like, give or take January, sometimes in December, I don't know. No, so it's in January. So we would all go down for a weekend for his birthday. So we were staying at the hotels. It was probably, I'm trying to think if, because back then it was Disney's Pacific Hotel.
Oh,
am I right that Disney had, I'm trying to remember the timing of it. Yeah, I think they did.
I think so too.
The Pacific Hotel.
Yep.
It might have actually been, gosh, I'm trying to think, the Paradise Pier renaming and everything. In any case, I think we were staying there, and so they gave like free preview. I think if you had tickets to Disneyland, you could just go over to DCA. So
bummed I missed out on that.
It was interesting. I think it was a little bit of a surprise. We might have heard about it, and I'm trying to remember if we did or not. But in any case, I mean, it was just a nice surprise and a nice thing that we got to go in, and I think we actually spent a lot of our time there, even though we were also supposed to go to Disneyland. So that was our first time. Yeah. It was not busy, that I remember, during the guest preview days also, but we'll probably get to more of why that's kind of comical still, but no, we really enjoyed it. We had a good time. I know going through Soarin' blew us away. I think that was our first memory. That was like the first ride we went on.
Okay.
So,
and that's like the thing that sticks out in your mind as the first.
I think, I remember everything else too, like going and doing everything else first, or that first time. But I know for sure as a whole family, just Soarin' blew us away. So I think being able to go in.
As it should.
Yeah.
All right, Caitie.
Burbank ice cream.
Really?
Yes.
That's smart.
I have very vivid memories of the whole Zephyr in California Adventure.
The California Zephyr.
The California Zephyr.
That was a train that actually was a train.
It was a train, and it was
Yep.
a train.
But that train wasn't a train. Anyway,
But my first memories are in Burbank ice cream. Well, I'm sorry, Burbank ice cream, to get the pun correct.
well played.
I feel like the ice cream smell was so much stronger in that
I
train.
actually think it was the waffle
The
cone.
that's what I was going to say. I
was like,
remember
you
the
smelled the
waffle.
waffle cone when you walked
But
in.
it was so much stronger there than in Gibson Girl.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So I remember that very vividly. Some of my, like, that's definitely my first memory that I can, like, trace back to. Other first memories are Greetings from California. The big mirror that was on the ceiling.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that you could look at. I never saw Disney's Electrical Parade at California Adventure. So
really,
I know my first time that I ever saw a Main Street Electrical Parade was when the revival in 2017.
I actually remember that because it
I
was
cried.
me, you, and Jenny, right?
And I cried. Yeah. My grandpa loved Main Street Electrical Parade, so it was a big deal. But
which I also connect with Chalk Walk because your parents were telling me about that in Chalk Walk.
Yeah. Here's a fun story for you guys. It's not DC related, but when I was very, very young as a little baby, I didn't like parades. I didn't like characters. So
is this DCA related?
I forced myself to fall asleep. My parents were telling you about this,
I know.
though. My parents say that it was during Main Street Electrical Parade because it was nighttime and there was a parade. It had to have been Light Magic, though, like timeline wise.
Wow.
And I think I was very good at making myself fall asleep during Light Magic.
As were lots of people.
But yes, anyway, Burbank ice cream was my very first strong memory of DCA 1.0.
That's very cool.
And the ice cream smell.
Okay. My first memory of DCA or Disney's California Adventure
Disney.
is I actually vividly remember riding the monorail from Disneyland before it had been opened.
Okay.
And I feel like it was probably, I'm going to say it was 9 to 12, like it was between 9 and 12 months before DCA opened. And my friend Luke and I went on the monorail and we're like, what is this? And I'm from northern Minnesota. And so we saw the process or the progress of DCA opening. And then we saw all of the lights and it had to be less than 12 months before DCA opened because Downtown Disney was just opened. And I remember looking through Downtown Disney, and northern Minnesota, we don't have outdoor malls. And so you had all of these lights, you had this outdoor mall, you saw people entertaining, all of those things. And I just remember Luke's from Texas, I'm from Minnesota, and both of us geeking out of like, can we get off the monorail now? We need to go see whatever that thing is. And that would be my first memory of partially Downtown Disney, but also DCA as we went through it and got to see a Disney park actually coming together as opposed to 99% of the time where you see it's already finished and maybe you see a wall up or something, but you don't get to actually see, hey, this was a parking lot I grew up with. And like I parked here literally all of the time growing up once a year with my parents. And now it's suddenly buildings and attractions and trees and all of these things. And it really was, I remember thinking, I'm like, wow, this is what Disney can do. Like, this is what Disney's about. It's not about parking lots. And I know there's the old joke about, I liked it better as a parking lot, but they took a parking lot and they made it into this thing that celebrated California. And you could make the arguments whether they succeeded or not, but from a parking lot to a celebration of California called Disney's California Adventure was really quite an incredible thing, especially for a hick from Minnesota. And so I've always kind of had this like, haha, that's funny. But on the flip side, I'm like, I remember that moment of amazement of going across on the monorail of what would become the Golden Gate Bridge I don't remember if the Golden Gate Bridge was completed or not at the time, because I just remember there was things happening. But I do remember the sense of awe of like, wow, this is what only Disney can do, is like they create things that in my imagination would have never come to life. And I just remember that sense of awe over the progress of Disney California Adventure and the completion of Downtown Disney. And it really was like, if you were to ask me moments that stand out in my Disney history since being a pass holder in 1995, that's one that would stand out. The 50th would stand out. Probably the 60th would stand out. I feel like that was just one of those moments where it's just like, wow, Disney can really do something with this. And then I think Caitie and I would disagree here, but then it got even better in 2012 when they rededicated and reopened Disney California Adventure, which we won't get into tonight. We'll save that for a later date in June. But
I like DCA 2.0.
Yeah, I do too. But it really was that moment of like, holy, like, wow, what is going on here? Like, this is something completely different than Disneyland. And I just remember that sense of shock and wow. And like, we were like, from two guys from the Midwest, we were really blown away in, I think it was 2000 when we went on the monorail and got to see pieces of DCA. And then later you got to go into DCA. And I remember, I think they actually offered us, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Murray. I think when the park opened, if I recall, there were 2 passes you could buy. One was for Disneyland and one was for Disney's California Adventure. And they're like,
one was
both. What'd you say?
No, one at least was you could get both parks.
Yeah.
Like you either because my family, we opted for the 2-park annual pass.
Yeah, I did too.
But there was just the Disneyland one, or you had to pay extra and you would get California Adventure.
So but it was a completely different pass. Like it wasn't like you could just get
you couldn't just do the Disneyland annual pass and get it.
And it would cover both. So I got both of them. And I remember, I think it was the summer of 2001 when it opened, because I was in college then, and I was up in Washington, and I came down. I'm like, yeah, I'll do your thing. I'll buy it. I'll go for it, whatever. And I remember spending about 4 or 5 hours in the park. I'm like, okay, that was good. Like, I liked it, but I don't think I can afford this. And so I went and sadly got my money back, which turned out to be okay, because a few months later they combined the passes. And I don't know what they did for people like you. Like, do you know what they did for people like you? I'm assuming you did.
I think we might have gotten a discount.
Okay.
On like we either got a refund or like a discount on renewing or something like that. I think. Okay. I think there was a little bit of something.
You guys got 50% off merchandise.
And it was,
but
one of those
Mondays
things
through Tuesdays, that was.
Yeah. And it was one of those things too that as you were going into the park for the first time, it was overwhelming, I think. And then it was kind of like, okay, what's next? And one of the things I think that I've learned over the last 20 years is to really appreciate the details they put into something like Disney's California Adventure that came from a completely different era and approach than 1955 Disneyland.
And the same amount of attractions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a completely different approach to a park. And I think it was very easy for a lot of Disney fans in 2001 to kind of discount where they had gone with Disney's California Adventure. But now I look back to it for the last 20 years. And I think of, like, for years, the first thing I would do, and this isn't an opening day show, but it was there, was I would go see Blast.
Oh,
Like I'd catch I think it was
Blast.
like a 12:35 show on Saturday. I would see before I went on Sundays.
Obviously.
But on Saturdays used to be my day, and I'm like 12:35. I'm seeing Blast. I'm going to that first show, and then Aladdin came along. It's like 12:35. I'm catching that first show of Aladdin, and there was something really like liberating about Disney's California Adventure that you couldn't have at Disneyland, because Disneyland was always going to be classic Disney, which has changed since, I would say in the last 4 or 5 years, it's changed a little bit. But there was something about Disney's California Adventure where there was a little bit more liberation, and you could take a different element of your imagination, whether that was Aladdin, whether that was going to, I love Department of Untapped Hilarity.
We were
Clocky.
literally just talking about that.
I think we did a Geeks Corner interview 8 years ago, maybe longer, but with Fellowship, the musical parody of the Fellowship of the Rings. And one of the highlights for me, and I think Johnny also, was that there was cast members from Department of Untapped Hilarity that were a part of this show. And like, that was, I don't know, I was geeking out more about them being a part of Duh than I was about them being a part of Fellowship. And because I would watch Duh every week, and there was just something uniquely liberating about them exploring this different theme and then going on this different approach with Disney's California Adventure. So that was a very long answer for what was my first memory of Disney's California Adventure that went everywhere else. But I'm going to blame our viewers, who are very awesome and gave me inspiration as I was looking in the comments, which I hope you can see, Murray.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, all you.
No, I was thinking about what you're saying. I've been going down memory lane a little bit these like past few days, and then I wish I could find the old Disney News or Disney Magazine. I think it was renamed to, like, they kind of hyped it up, and so being a kid, that was a big deal to like be around when a new park at Disneyland was being made, and like, you know, but this is before.
Don't you?
What's that?
I think it still is, don't you? Like,
it always is.
Shanghai opening, or like you got to go to opening of Shanghai, and I just remember I stayed up so late following what you were doing and texting with you from Shanghai and just being like, this is the coolest thing ever. Is like, you're 200 yards from where Bob Iger just opened this new park. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but DCA was really kind of the first in some ways for us, I think, because of Epcot was really, I think Epcot and even MGM Studios was a bit in a very young side.
It was a lot earlier.
Yeah. But I like looking at it from opening time. I mean, there's a lot that's actually still there. Like, I think people think it's totally redone, but really a lot of the structure is still there. Like, Hollywood's not that much different than what it was when it first opened. A lot of the structure for the stores for Buena Vista Street were there. Like, it's a lot of just kind of the look has changed. Grizzly Peak. Yeah. And so I mean, just thinking through that, like, I mean, we all, the three of us and many others, like, we enjoy, I feel like we end up there for a longer period of time on Sundays than we do sometimes in Disneyland. And so,
well, and I think that's a good segue into the enjoyability of Disney's California Adventure. Is this was designed to be a park that wasn't as it was supposed to reach younger people. Is that a good way to put it? And they're like, make a hipper, more trendy park. And I remember being skeptical about it in the late, like, I think it was 99 when I first heard about this. And I'm like, well, what's the point in that? And then,
like California,
right. There was lots of questions that popped into my head. And I will admit that with the initial opening, I didn't quite get it. but then you
Mhm.
start just enjoying it more and experiencing it, and you're like, oh, this is what California is about. And it's not a fact that I don't get Disney's California Adventure. It's a fact that I don't get Disney because I'm a I don't get California because I'm from northern Minnesota. And I actually think that was the hardest part for me to grasp, is like California is all about being relaxed. It's all about kind of having that, like, we're gonna take our time on things, and as much as life is hectic, there's also that sense of like, hey, we're gonna hang out at the beach, or hey, we're gonna go to the pier and just enjoy the beauty that is California. And that's really what Disney's California Adventure was about, as opposed to being like, hey, we're gonna go to Neverland, or hey, we're gonna go see some pirates or something. Like, they took a very different approach to storytelling. And as I look back at Disney's California Adventure, really feel like, let's call it 1.0, because that's what everybody else does. It didn't get enough credit for what it did right.
Mhm.
So you look at 1.0, it opens with 4 areas because they weren't really using lands at the time. And so the first area, Murray, was the entrance plaza, basically. What was it
Mhm.
called officially? And you've got the
Entry
map.
Plaza.
Entry Plaza.
Okay,
Entry Plaza. I'm looking at the map. It is literally called Entry Plaza.
And if Caitie
you know,
had
if
her
internet, if you want to fight me on this, I've got the map. So
and
I'm
Caitie
just
does
saying.
too. She got it from Clocky for Christmas, and we've geeked out about it multiple times. But Entrance Plaza, really, like, it took me a while to get it. It's like you're walking into a postcard.
Yeah.
It's so perfect for Clocky because he runs Sent from Disneyland, and if you're not following at Sent for Disneyland on Instagram, you probably should be. Because 1, they put really cool things, and 2, they send really cool postcards sometimes.
True.
But as I think back about it, I love DCA 2012. Like, I love Buena Vista Street. It's gorgeous. It's one of my favorite. But there's also the California Zephyr. There's also that really cool mosaic as you're walking into Disney's California Adventure. That
the letters. I feel like they're part of
letters,
it, even though they were outside. But
I think we totally took for granted for 10 years or whatever it was. But as we're talking about the entrance plaza, actually, I'm going to start with Caitie first, and then I'm going to move to Murray. What are some of your favorite things about the entrance plaza area? Sunshine Plaza, I think, was included, of Disney's California Adventure, because we probably should be correct and use that S of Disney's, because they hadn't changed the name.
Emphasize it, Disney's.
Yeah.
First of all, my family would take a photo with the letters every single year.
Okay.
There's photos of me very young under the letters.
I would like to see those. I think that would be fun. We should have had them for tonight.
Sure, you could ask my father. My father would probably have them somewhere.
We should have been on that, Murray.
Rats. There are also pictures of me in high school with the letter C, because obviously that's what my first name starts with, is a C.
What?
I know. It's hard to believe.
Shocked.
Caitie starts with a K, right?
So does California.
So does California. California starts with the K, guys. I loved the mosaic, though. I think there's going to be a reoccurring theme throughout the entire show. I loved a lot of DCA 1.0. I thought it was beautiful. Maybe I was too young to know any better, but I loved the mosaic. I loved looking at the mosaic. I loved that there was like Catalina and the deer that were jumping over the fence trying to get into California Adventure. I thought that it was so beautiful. Like, especially with like the Golden Gate Bridge and all those things. So that's like with Entry Plaza specifically, because I've already talked about my love for the Golden Zephyr, or with this California Zephyr, and Greetings from California. Those are some of my favorite things. If I had really good pictures of me with the sea from my younger days, I would post them, but I don't.
Well, and I really think that's the lesson we've learned. I think Murray and I have talked a little bit about this, is the things that we took for granted really have become historical icons.
Yeah.
And so I think, especially like I would say, especially since like our trip in September to Walt Disney World, we've had a new appreciation of these historical icons that we didn't realize were historical at the time. and so both he and I have been going through our videos and historical documents, I guess, to like, I actually feel like it's given a new angle, I guess, for DAPs. It's like we really do have an appreciation for the history, so we've been pulling more of that together. And I love that, because I'm a student of history. Murray is an art history guru, and like, if you want to know anything about art history, you ask Murray. And so I think that's DCA really has been a big part of that, of like helping us realize our love of the history of Disney.
True.
And so you have those things. You have like Sunshine Plaza with that big, I didn't realize it was sun the first time I walked in. I'm like, oh, look at that cool thing with water by it.
Yeah.
Look at the water feature. Kinetic energy, guys. Kinetic energy.
That's what it was. Is I will admit, I've always really enjoyed that area, whether it's now Carthay Circle or before it was a sun with water and ocean in front of it. But I wasn't always as in the know, say, as I am today. And so the first time I walked in, I was like, oh, that's cool. There's water in front of that big shiny thing. Yeah. And
thing on fire?
Yeah, exactly. And then add to the fact that I'm like, oh, I'm from northern Minnesota and I really have no clue what's going on in California. So it was just a weird, cool art thing. And I'm like,
fair.
Yeah. And I was like, I'll take a picture of that. And I wish I could find that picture. But Murray, what was your favorite part of the entrance plaza when you think of back to DCA 1.0?
I have some of the same fondness of it that Caitie did. Burbank ice cream. Oh my gosh, that's
the winner. Is it fair to say that that's the only thing that if I could somehow have made lasted through into DCA 2.0, I would have the California Zephyr somehow somewhere with the ice cream inside of it.
So here's the thing, Kevin Johnson, don't fire me. I would keep Burbank ice cream over the Starbucks.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I didn't even eat the ice cream that often. I just liked the fact that it was there.
I loved it. Yeah.
I liked the smell when you'd walk by and the doors would open accidentally and you just smell that waffle cone coming out. Yeah.
Well, it's just like looking at the map, it was actually run by Nestle Ice Cream, not Dryers. So it was a different ice cream than Gibson Girl, which was nice. But I love Gibson Girl. People, if you love Gibson Girl and you're watching this and you're like, how dare he? I do like Gibson Girl a lot. I like Dryers ice cream.
Gibson Girl. Believe us.
I kind of liked Burbank ice cream more. It might have been the sundaes. It might have been the cones itself. I don't know. Yep. But my family and I, we would. What's that?
Or the experience too. Like you're getting ice cream at the train, so that kind of helps too.
Oh yeah. Oh, it did for sure. But yeah, my family and I, we loved Burbank ice cream. Like we for sure would stop anytime. I think we would get it like twice in a day, just because we loved it. So Burbank ice cream for sure. They're probably Mr. Daps and Caitie are probably seeing my where I get the liking ice cream so much from. But
that's okay.
No, it took me a long time to figure out that the entrance, that whole plaza was a postcard. And once I figured out that it was a postcard, I would just stop and look, and I'm like, oh, it's a postcard. Like I'm walking into a postcard, and
are you
that's where I love the mural.
Are you like me with that, where once you realize it's a postcard, you kind of wish you took more pictures of it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Because I think it was a couple years in before I realized that, oh, that's a postcard, which I don't know where the miss was on that. Like if it was me or if it was Disney, but
no, I think I just think it wasn't executed that well. Like it's a very,
like
it's
once
just a
you
high
realize it's
concept.
there, it makes sense. But
Yeah.
like, I wish they told us like flat out, like, "Hey, idiot, this is a postcard," because I'd been like, "Oh, that's
It's a
cool.
postcard.
That's a postcard." And it took me years to figure it out. And then I
Mhm.
kind of wish I'd known earlier, because I just would have appreciated it that much more. But anyway, keep
Mhm.
going. Sorry.
I mean, it's mostly, I think, all that. I like the fountain. I think was actually amazing from the sign icon. Like if you really look at it, like it mimicked a wave so well. And so I would just stand in front of that and like watch the wave basically go. I know as a family, like my brother and I were old enough that
there.
What's that?
I met Robert Irvine there.
Nice. Ooh.
Like from what is it? Restaurant Impossible and Dinner Impossible.
In like the really early Food and Wine?
Yeah, he did a food not and wine thing there. And we met him right in front of the whatever, the waves thing. I don't even know what to call it. Sunshine Plaza, I guess.
Either.
And the thing I remember most about him was his handlers multiple times like, "Hey, do you want to go backstage?" He's like, "No, there's still people in line. I'm going to stay here until everybody who's wanted to meet me has gotten a chance to meet me." And I was like, that's a really quality guy. And I will admit, part of my loyalty to Food
Restaurant Impossible.
Yeah, well, and all of that brand, but also Food Network in general, is because I was like, well, if this quality of a guy works for this network, he's probably in line with the culture of the network. And so I've always just had, like, that was one of those things, like, beforehand, I was like, I love food, I love to cook, I love those kinds of things. But that moment in Sunshine Plaza, I was like, if this guy's willing to wait, and I think he waited like an hour and a half or something to meet everybody, I was blown away, one, for that, because it was ridiculously hot. But two, I was just like, if he's willing to do that, that earns my loyalty, because that's just really quality. And you know, those are those random Disney magic things that you don't expect to get. And like, I'm sure we've had moments through the years where either it's at Disneyana or Epcot or whatever, that we've gotten to meet somebody. Clocky's talking about getting to meet Guy Fieri. And you get those moments that aren't necessarily Disney magic, but they're magic that are connected with Disney. And that's one of the ones that makes me feel happy about Sunshine Plaza. And as you were talking about the waves and stuff, I was like, oh, I totally remember waiting in line to meet Robert Irvine. And the water going by, whatever. But yeah. Sorry, keep going, Murray. I'm getting excited about GCA 1.0.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
No, there wasn't. I think there wasn't a ton in the plaza, but it was enjoyable. Like, I think
atmosphere.
I love, like, Buena Vista Street's one of my just favorite Disney lands in any theme park. But I also just really liked Entry Plaza, whatever they call it, Sunshine Plaza, whatever.
I think it was Sunshine Plaza. You can tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, people.
I thought maybe it got changed to that or something. I mean, there's a lot of changes, but no, I know it's like the spot that my parents would just sit on a bench or let my brother and I go run around, and like I think they would watch the fountain. And then
and they had those wonderful cement benches too. Now that you mention it, where you could watch. What was the first parade there? I guess it was
Eureka.
Yeah. And you could sit there, and it wasn't the greatest place, but it was the most comfortable place, because you're like, I'm on a bench. They're all standing in the heat, and you can watch the parade go by. And then later it was not Pixar Play Parade. What was the one before it?
Block Party Bash.
Block Party Bash, and to me, I actually liked Block Party Bash from back there better than I liked it along the parade route, just because I didn't have to risk getting having to engage and have a ball thrown at me or whatever.
True.
And but there was something very, like, now that we're looking back on it and now that it's gone, I'm like, there was something very magical from a completely different perspective of Sunshine Plaza and that little area that you could sit in. So as you were walking into there, which also they had through the years before 2.0 came along, they had the entrance to things like electronica, like they had the opening show there. I believe they had the beginnings of what was the one with all the colors? Glowfest, which I will never forget because I thought that was the most ridiculous, amazing, hilarious thing to come to any Disney theme park. In fact, I can remember we all have a friend named David who Glowfest came along. He's like, can we go walk through it? Because I don't get it. I'm like, yeah, we can do that. So we left his kid with, I'm putting that in, Murray. So whatever you're showing will show up.
This is Glowfest.
This is us.
Glow.
And it's a video from back in the day. But Glowfest was kind of ridiculous and crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, how much neon and pink can we throw into Disney California Adventure? But it was also fun. Like, it was just out there and it made no sense. And it was kind of this like, hey, we have World of Color happening over here. Why don't you look over here? Because there's something else to do. And we'll just let this run because it's hilarious. Oh, yeah. But this was in, what was the original name of it, Murray? Hollywood
Hollywood Pictures Backlot.
Okay, Hollywood Pictures Backlot is where this was originally. And as you're looking at this video, I'm sure you're recognizing the Hyperion Theater, and you can see that we're on Hollywood Boulevard there. And Hyperion Theater is where they originally had a show called Step in Time, which I believe was the first show. I feel like I only saw it once, maybe twice, because I was in college at the time. So I would see things in the summer, and then I'd go home and I'd come back for whatever break was next. Do you remember the show at all, Murray? I'm going to assume Caitie does not.
I was the same as you. I think I only saw it 2 times.
Okay.
Blast I was just like you. I saw Blast a lot more, which was after it. But
it lasted longer too, right?
Maybe. I know Steps in Time. I mean, I remember Steps in Time, and then I remember. I hate to call it a fiasco, but I think it was. I think it. I'll put it as it just did not quite succeed. I think in what it was trying to do, because it was very much that young idea, like you keep saying that DCA was supposed to be, and so it was sort of like a making Disney songs hip, but
the thing needs to be hip. Is it brought in younger people? It definitely was a completely different vibe, and while it didn't connect necessarily, like, I think it was a spectacle for you and me, if I had to make a guess, and David, and but what it did is it set up. I feel like it set the table for future things like electronica, like Mad Tea Party, that were these kind of like unique party vibes that you could go in, and it was a mix between Disney and a concert. And like electronica, I think, was probably the best thing that ever happened back there. I think you'd probably agree with me. And I remember going back, and we'd enjoy the entertainment, and we'd have nights at Flynn's where we'd have these ridiculous, like, I don't know, it was competitions with what was the game?
Air hockey?
Air hockey, thank you. Where, like Steve-O would go against Johnny Five with air hockey for literally, we'd spend hours there. And it's just air hockey, but you've got this Disney vibe, which made it so much fun. And I think they actually did. Are you showing? There we go. Electronica, thank you. But it was this taking you into a world that you didn't know could be real, and you could just let yourself go as opposed to worrying about being vaporized.
Well, and like they did a good job, I think, at creating the environment. I mean, this really was. I think Glowfest was the experiment, and then this was sort of the end result.
Yeah.
And I think they did a good job for like they had to make it the Hollywood Pictures Backlot by day, and yes, some of the stuff was there during the day, but like it really transformed.
Honestly, it didn't look as nearly as good during the day.
No,
but at night it was amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah.
My most vivid memories of Electronica was the controversy when Mad Tea Party existed, and everyone showed up with shirts that said "I heart Tron, but this will do for now."
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I was friends with a lot of people who really loved Mad Tea, and that was a controversy, guys.
I think it's
I think one of the things Murray and I had that was such a wonderful thing during that era, from Electronica to Mad Tea Party, is I think we appreciated both. Is that fair to say, Murray? I think the entertainment in some ways for Mad Tea Party with the live band was better, but the overall vibe and experience for Electronica was better. And but the best part was sitting in the back and just watching the world go by from either of them.
It's true.
And part of that was, it amazes me that anybody thinks they can get away with anything at Disney, because the underage drinking is absolutely hilarious to watch them try to get away with and never get, like, it never works. Like, you stand in the back and you see these people try to get away with stuff, and then suddenly security shows up
out of nowhere.
And it's the most hilarious thing. Like, we would go there on Sunday nights literally just to watch that. It's like, I don't care what's going on the stage. Like, it can be Electronica, it can be Mad Tea Party. I want to watch these young people try to get away with things at one of the most secure places on the planet.
And it was always that they had an older friend.
Yeah. And that wouldn't go well for them either.
I've seen it happen so many times, of them just showing up out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most fun at Tea or Electronica, though.
Oh yeah, it was a blast.
Because it's a party environment.
Yeah.
And then security going, hey.
So usually the DAPs team would be standing in the back, and we would just enjoy whatever atmosphere, you know, if it was a Tea Party, Electronica, whatever it was happening. And then you'd kind of just watch and be like, oh, that one could be trouble. And then within a few minutes, suddenly there was like this swarm of security coming up and like, hey, where's your ID? And like, that to me was one of the most fun parts of this, is because like, we play by the rules. We have fun playing by the rules. Like, you can have fun living within the realm of rules. And it was almost more fun to watch the people who thought they could get above and beyond the rules get nailed for it. And that was just, I think, one of my favorite parts of Electronica. And then again, it happened over and over again with Mad Tea Party. But Flynn's Arcade was also definitely a highlight.
I was going to bring it up because that reminded me suddenly. There was something before Flynn's Arcade that I think was one of the best things at Disney's California Adventure.
Add that S.
Where they started changing it. I almost hate to go off of it, but it just reminded me of it because we're Flynn's Arcade I loved, but that building was the food court, and I think it was some of the best food that was in Disney parks, period. It was actually kind of a fun environment too, I think.
Which I can vaguely remember. Like, I remember going in there and I remember getting food, but I couldn't tell you what I got beyond like, oh, it must have been a burger or something.
The funny thing is, well, we meaning my family, because again, this, like, a lot of 1.0 was with my family. We loved, even though there's Lucky Cookie. What is it? Lucky Fortune Cookery?
Yeah,
that's it. Lucky Fortune Cookery in Pacific Wharf, which was there 1.0.
Which I loved that one.
We loved it too, but there was actually Chinese food in this food court thing too,
Oh,
which was kind
really?
of funny.
I don't
And so we loved eating there actually. So so they actually had actually as I look at it, there was it was Hollywood and Dine was the food
Yeah.
court. So they
Yeah.
had, and the description is featuring Asian specialties, burgers, deli sandwiches, and pizza. We would just get whatever, I guess, Asian food, but it was actually really, really good. And we were so sad actually when they like closed it up, which I don't even remember exactly what year they closed
I
it up.
think
But
that was one of the challenges of DCA 1.0 is there was a ton of food. Like I remember that vividly. Is like you get food like, oh, I turned left, here's more food. And because there was also I'm forgetting the name of it at the moment, but it had the soap opera.
Soap Opera Bistro.
Soap Opera
Yeah,
Bistro.
where now it's the Disney Junior.
ABC.
Yes.
Yeah,
Soap
ABC.
And now you can go see Disney Channel characters.
Yeah.
Or Disney Junior characters. But I just felt like every 2 steps is like, oh, here's more food. Oh, here's more food. This is probably not good for my diet. Here's more food. And
as we talked about ice cream before.
Attractions it made up for in food.
And stores.
Yeah. And 2 attractions were food.
Yeah. We'll get to those.
So, yeah.
But they also had, and I feel like we can't go too far without mentioning this, is they had this wonderful attraction where you got to go through old school Hollywood. And this attraction, you want to talk about this, Caitie?
Would I like to talk about Superstar Limo?
So Superstar Limo was an opening day attraction in this Hollywood backlot area, Hollywood Pictures backlot. Caitie, go ahead.
So when I was a child, I remember Superstar Limo being closed, but the exterior stayed up for forever of Superstar Limo. I wanted to ride Superstar Limo so bad. I never did. That's important.
It lives on your memory.
It lives on in my memory. From every video I've watched, Superstar Limo was horrible. It's so bad. It's garbage. But I still love it because it's so... Somebody said, I can't remember where I heard this, Superstar Limo was outdated from the moment it opened. I love that. I love that it was outdated from the moment that it opened.
Murray, what did you think of Superstar Limo?
I think the funny thing, it wasn't our favorite attraction, my family and I.
Wait, why?
I don't feel like it was complete garbage. And like rewatching it, I know. This is not the popular opinion.
Hey, I'll take it.
This is DAPs magic, Murray. We made the argument for why price increases were a good thing. So go ahead.
Myself is listening very intently. So
I'm with you, Caitie. It was super outdated. Like watching it again, I'm like, this would not have lasted until now. It would have been taken out by now for sure.
Yeah.
But watching it, I actually think there's something to like graphically what they were trying to do. It just was this hard, very hard, and if you ever look at the history of it, there was something of like they only had like so much ability that they could do to make this, that like time, money, everything. And so I think what they did graphically is very interesting. Like it was a uniquely graphic attraction for Disney. There's nothing else. There's not ever been anything else like it. I think for some people though, like the movie star animatronics scared them, like the way that is graphically, and I'll give you that. Like it takes a certain maybe stomach to handle those in some ways. But the way I would put it in watching it again, just for nostalgia recently, it was a little bit like if you took, there's the wax museums where you have like kind of life size them. If you make those cartoons and then animate it, yeah, that's what this was.
Yes.
Which I know sounds a little bad, but I think the concept was really interesting. Like it really is supposed to be, you are the star, And
Yeah.
so let's make you the center of this attraction.
I think that
That's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
And
Do you
so I
think
don't.
Do you think
No,
it's
go ahead.
kind of Disney's California Adventure of Kali River Run or Kali River
Oh,
Run?
it is. I mean, it is.
Where it's
It's
like-
it was the first attraction that did need to go out of the park. I will
100%.
totally admit it. And I'm not saying that like, oh my gosh, I love it so much. Why did they take it out? No. It needed to go. I don't think it deserves the
Hate.
hate that it really gets, because like, I don't know. There's a lot of other things that, like, if you think about it, are crazy that still exist. Like
Kali
like,
River
I love Kali River Rapids. I don't know
Yeah.
how that still exists. And we went on it. We have a video. Like, there's so much of it of like, what in the heck is going on here? Like,
It made no sense.
where are we? No, yeah.
I mean,
But-
we had a blast on it, but at the same time, I was like, "Oh, this is why I've never been on it before," is because
I don't.
there's no
Yeah.
point to it.
What is this river? Like, why are we going through a log?
But it has a very
Why?
good
Like,
view because you want to see that good view of Expedition Everest. That's what it's all
like,
about.
who opened the tourist? Okay, anyway, this is about DCA, not Animal Kingdom. We can get into the anniversary. But no, so again, like, it needed to go for sure. Like, it was the worst attraction in California Adventure. I don't think that it was the complete garbage that I think people wanted to do. And I'm one of the crazy people. I would defend Tiki Room under new management, what that was trying to do. And I know.
That's another live stream.
Yeah, I know. This is the unpopular opinion, but and granted, like, I'm not saying that any of these should have stayed.
And I think
But,
Angela has a very good point in here, as she says she remembers writing it and not hating it, but also thinking, that was different. And I actually think that's the best approach to it, is like, I remember going on it and being like, I don't know what just happened.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to go on it again, but at least I've done it.
I still wish that it was the original Rock and Roller Coaster type idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I think that would have been wonderful for DCA 1.0.
With Red Hot Chili Peppers or what?
No, I think they said something about like California ska band, so like No Doubt would have been a part of it and stuff. But it was,
I will admit I am a fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers taking over screaming.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Like, that was a good summer.
And I loved the idea of like, oh, you're running from the paparazzi. I also understand in 2001 why that was a bad idea that you couldn't follow through with.
Well, even today it wouldn't work out. So,
oh yeah, I think it still would have been either greatly changed or just taken out.
Yeah, there was.
No.
It didn't have a long shelf life either way you look at
It was just so funny. It was one of the very few dark rides in California Adventure. Something that Disneyland is kind of known for is the dark rides. And Disney's California Adventure said, "Hey, here's one of our few dark rides. Enjoy this wax museum."
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't.
It
was different.
It didn't work.
I hate to say it, like, I think they're like so it's like the postcard idea. Like, they're very, very high concept. And when I say high concept, this is probably my art history term. So the high concept, where it's like you're going for something big. It really depends on how well you execute something.
Yeah.
And if you don't execute it well, then it just goes over everyone's heads. And I think that's kind of what happened with like the entrance being a postcard is like, once you know, it's like, oh, this is amazing, this is beautiful, but you have to figure it out. And I think Superstar Limo was like, oh, this is unique, this is different, but it's like you have to figure out, oh, this is not a typical Disney thing. And then
well, and it was a lot of, loved Michael Eisner. There's a lot of Michael Eisner in jokes, like Hollywood,
the agent.
which a lot of Disney's California Adventure period is a lot of, Hollywood in jokes of like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We all know Hollywood. Superstar Limo, I think, is the epitome of
But
that.
not everybody knows Hollywood, and that's the problem.
Well, and that's what, yeah.
So let's go back to the entrance plaza. And instead of going left into Hollywood Pictures Backlot, let's hang a right.
Okay.
Murray, what was the official name of that area on opening day?
Going to the right from the entrance plaza?
Yes.
That was, I guess it was just Golden State because
it was Golden State.
So you had Condor Flats there, you had Grizzly River
you
Run.
You had sub areas. Bountiful Valley Farm.
Oh,
was
gosh.
a sub area.
How magical.
We'll bring it up.
But let's talk first about going to the right. You've got the Condor Flats and you've got the glamorous Glennis. That was the plane that broke the sound barrier for the first time, which to me, it's been interesting over the last few months because General Chuck Yeager, I guess, passed away a month or two ago. And it surprised me at how many people who didn't know, one, who that was, and two, what that thing was that was flying out of that building, which I'm forgetting the name at the moment, Murray, of opening.
Taste Pilots, the restaurant.
Taste Pilot, thank you. One of your favorite places ever, and actually one of mine too, because you get a full buffet taco if you went and got your free.
Which is in Golden State. We can talk about this now. Yeah,
you got your free tortilla, and then you went to a Taste Pilot and got the rest of your taco. But
and $6 chili fries.
Yeah, but I think the bigger area or the bigger thing in that area was soaring over California. Yes, you had good food over there. Yes, you had Grizzly River Run, which was another water ride, and it was fine. But really the game changer for Disney's California Adventure was soaring over California Adventure, where you got to fly over different areas of California in this incredible experience. And you got to see some of the highlights of California. And they did a really nice job. They had a soundtrack by Jerry Goldsmith, who wrote many different soundtracks of the year, whether it's Mulan or Star Trek, you name it. I think, Murray, you have something to show, and go ahead and I'll share it with you. And but it really was one of those breathtaking experiences the first time you got on it. And so very quickly, Murray and then Caitie, what was your first thought / experience when you got to experience soaring over California? Did we film this together, Murray?
We might have.
Yeah, I feel like we did. Anyway, share your first thought experience over soaring.
It was breathtaking. It's amazing now saying and thinking about that it was in DCA 1.0.
Yeah.
Because, for how much is said about 1.0, I mean, this attraction is now at almost every Disney resort around the world. Actually, maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking too much of it. I think it's not at 2 resorts right now, but it's getting there, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, it's something that's pretty amazing to think about in that way. I mean, it's still something also to say that the California version is still the most beloved, I feel like, from most people. First memory, again, I think I was saying this before, but just my family going on, we had heard about it. I feel like Disney was trying to hype it in some ways, and we're just like, okay, this sounds cool. And when we went on, I mean, it's just amazing. It was amazing. Yeah. And my mom, my mom hates heights. And so
that's true.
She absolutely willingly went on it. and she still loves going on it, but she hates heights. Like, I don't think she would voluntarily go on anything that's remotely like this anywhere else. But so that says something about this, what this attraction is. So,
Caitie, do you remember your first time on Soarin'?
I don't.
So this part's great because you can see Michael Eisner right here.
And I know I have a friend whose mother was actually in this scene.
That's right. Anyway, go ahead, Caitie.
Funny enough, I don't remember my first time on Soarin', but when I was but a wee child, I spent a lot of my time on hiddenmickeys.org or .com.
Oh yeah.
Whatever it was, I spent a lot of time of my childhood on that website. And they talked about the hidden Mickey on the golf ball and the fact that Michael Eisner hit it. I did not care about who Michael Eisner was, but I cared a lot about who the hidden Mickey on the golf ball was.
Yeah.
So I spent every time on Soarin' over California being like, oh, I think I saw it. And then nudging the person next to me. It is.
Completely honest.
But young Caitie convinced herself that she could see it and then would nudge the person next to her and be like, I saw it.
So I'm going to interrupt you real quick. Bailey's talking about the aircraft carrier that we're soaring over right now. That is the Stennis.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a ship that one of her cousin was on that ship. And I also had a family member on that ship too. So that definitely was always special to me when we'd fly over the Stennis. I'm like, hey, that's the ship that my family member is on that I'm not supposed to talk about apparently. Like apparently there's like national security or something where you're not supposed to say where people are. I'm not. That's why I'm being vague. But it really was and is to today where you get to like we've been to Disney California Adventure a few times since the pandemic now, and you walk by that building and you're just like, it's right there. Just turn it on. It'll be okay. And like it was one of those things. I remember when we were in Florida, Murray, that we talked about going on and we ended up not going on just because of time and length of
it's and it was different there. It's not the California.
And it's not like honestly, if it had been the California version, I guarantee we would have gone on it
100%.
But there's something magical about the California version, and I hope they continue to bring it back in phases like they've done in the last couple of years, where we get to like experience the old version of the attraction versus the new tilted Eiffel Tower version. But there's something really magical about that, and I think you've nailed it, both of you, in your different approaches to it. And it is Ryan in the chat. It's very much like how Pandora just opens your eyes to this new way of storytelling.
Yeah.
Like I would say 2001 Soarin' over California is what we have now with Flights of Passage.
Yeah.
And it really was kind of that first time you went on it. It was breathtaking. It still is, but it's breathtaking. It's beautiful. It's not what you expected at all. Because I think a lot of us in 2001, when we went on it the first time, didn't know what we were getting into. It's just like, oh yeah, it's going to be this tour of California. It'll be fine.
Like it's just another simulator or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of thought it was like, hey, it's the next step of Circle Vision. Like that was my, I don't know about you, and then you get in it and you're like, oh my feet are above the screen. And
you can't help but like kick around and think like you're gonna hit the water or I think that was my feeling.
And it actually evokes a sense of play as you're going through it, which I think is great too. And you can't help but like, oh, I'm gonna wave my feet back and forth and whatever it is. And I think you're totally right. And that to me was the highlight of this area. I think Mickey's Fly Girls was also
don't even.
I remember, was that still 1.0 or I was trying
to actually now that I'm thinking about it, might have been 2.0.
It was 1.5.
1.5. Yeah. Okay.
And that show closed on my birthday.
Happy birthday. All right, let's move on. Let's move up. So we've hit 3 of the 4 main sections of Disney's California Adventure opening day 2001.
So now Paradise Pier.
So let's hit section 4, Murray, on the map.
But there is something in Pacific Wharf, or I keep saying Pacific Wharf, Golden State, that we didn't talk about, that has gone and has become a ride that I know is still a fan favorite. You know is still a huge fan favorite because of how many alerts we get.
But that's
was that in Golden State or was that in Paradise Pier?
That was Golden State.
Oh, yeah, we have to hit this.
We have to talk about it.
Can I preface this, Murray?
Sure.
Murray took a video. I'm going to put this up in just a minute, Murray, of the very last showing of this attraction. And I don't think either of us realized how iconic and memorable and the life that this video would have. And it will, I would say, to this day on our YouTube channel, Golden Dreams,
we get so many comments.
Gets comments on and on. Like, it's like we were at opening night of World of Color. We get comments, but not like this. We were at opening night of the 60th anniversary. We get comments, but not like this. And
it's been over a decade since we posted this video. We probably got a comment last week.
Regularly. And so Murray and I will text quite frequently of like, hey, Murray, guess what happened? We got more comments. And it just keeps going. And Murray, why don't you just give an overview of what you feel this show was to you? Because I will admit, while I appreciated it, I didn't appreciate it to the same level that you appreciated it. I feel like.
And I only saw it once, and all I remember is, hey, ma'am, you forgot your purse.
That's true.
So please talk to us about Calafia and Golden Dreams.
Yes, Calafia, which Whoopi Goldberg was like very present in that park, by the way.
True.
Yeah.
Because she was in Superstar Limo as well. But Golden Dreams, so, and I apologize for the flicker, everyone. It was a projection. This is like, there was no 4K nothing for it, no HD for this.
True.
Before it closed. So this is another for my family and I. Like we have a lot of really good memories and a lot of fun things that we would do in this park. We would always go and see this. This was my dad's favorite thing to do.
Really?
So we always. This probably does not. That probably Mr. Daps knows my dad well enough that probably does not surprise him at all.
No, I mean it did initially, but then the moment I'm like, yeah, I can see it.
This was so we had to see Golden Dreams every single time, or he would go and see it, and we would ride like California Screaming or something.
Yeah.
So that's why
I think the way it went though, Murray, is you were gonna go on California Screaming. He's like, okay, I'll go see Golden Dreams.
I'll go see Golden Dreams. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we'd see it pretty often, and yeah, it was like the thing. So
I feel like we need to do a watch through of Golden Dreams at some point.
Oh yeah, I thought about that. Oh yeah. So I mean, it is that. There's like I think there's something neat to it. It really did hype up California maybe more than our history should.
More than it was to in some ways. Yeah, I agree.
But I think there's some interesting like education to it. Like that's where I learned about like, oh, this is how Los Angeles gets their water, or something, basically, like in a way. But I think it was kind of a neat film. It's in that genre of like when you go to Epcot, you have those fun films that you just go and see and enjoy. But there's an element.
Don't you think it was also in the era of DCA where it was teetering between like, hey, we're trying to be Epcot, or hey, we're trying to be Disney's Hollywood Studios. And I think it ended up going the Hollywood Studios routine. But like this was a big argument for Epcot in my world.
Oh, to have it go towards, and especially showing that it's supposed to, like, this is, California is as diverse as like World Showcase could even be or something. Yeah. I feel like that's what it was trying to go toward. But but maybe I'll touch on like, so this was the last show. I'm trying to think if I think I had like we just started hanging out, you and I, Mr. Daps.
Yep, that's true.
And so I think I probably did text you and like, hey, I think I'm gonna go to the last show. Like, should I put this?
Actually, what happened is you just went and did it, and then you said,
so.
I went and saw this show and I filmed it. Do you want it? Which was kind of the trend of the era. Was like you get these really cool things. And you're like, hey, I got this. Do you want this? I'm like, okay, let's see what happens.
And we still get comments to this day.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I mean,
so I think honestly,
some of our most commented on videos are things that you randomly went to.
So I had no idea. I didn't know this was going to be a big thing. I knew it was the last day, and I went and like the theater was full, like on the very last one.
Neither of us expected that.
Yeah.
Like,
I did not. Yeah.
Like I remember going a couple times before it closed. Yeah, and it was relatively quiet. And I remember like we went a few times before it closed. And I don't remember the day of the week that it closed, but it wasn't a Sunday, so I wasn't there. And you just went and did it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of one of those things where I don't think anybody expected it to have the popularity at the close that it did. And I think it also was the first time, if I were to look at least our coverage history, where you really saw Disney fans come together to say goodbye to something in a big way. That was documented. And I think they came together probably before to say goodbye to like, Bear Country or whatever, but not to the level that it was documented in the way that happened for this. And so it was something different that we've now seen replicated with, Mickey's Fly Girls or the end of parades or the end of other shows. But this was the first time I think you could really put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that's part of the reason it's lived on. And we've enjoyed, like, I think I can't count how many times we've texted back and forth of like, it's still going.
It closed in September 2008.
Yeah. So it's September 2008. It closed. And what is that, 13 years ago?
13 years. And
I definitely within the last week was texting Murray, being like, guess what? It's still going. Which I love. Like it's I think that's something that we've gotten to be stewards of some parts of Disney history, and I would love to be stewards of more as time goes on and find more of those old videos that maybe aren't accessible to people anymore. But I think it's something that we've really gotten, I almost want to say lucky with, where we've just gotten lucky to be a front row to different parts of Disney history, whether it's, the Sherman brothers getting their window, which was one of my first press events, or the closing of Golden Dreams. And I think that's one of the things that Disney's California Adventure has given us, is we've gotten the opportunity to cover those sort of random historic moments that maybe not be like life-changing, world-changing things, but the three of us, we've been like, hey, we'll record it, we'll put it on YouTube, this is cool.
I also, for those of you who haven't caught on, I unapologetically love DCA 1.0. So it's like looking at...
Wait, you do? You love DCA 1.0?
I am a DCA 1.0 apologist, one may say. And maybe it's my nostalgia talking, but I love DCA 1.0. So thinking of Golden Dreams, remembering the banners that were on Golden Dreams. I look at the rotunda of...
Don't forget Golden Screams too.
Of Little Mermaid.
I was thinking about bringing that up. I love Golden Screams also, but anyway, sorry.
It was not great, but it was fun.
No, I wish they had something like it. Sorry. Anyway, you were saying banners. Yeah.
No, but it's like I I almost don't recognize the Rotunda for Little Mermaid as the same because to me it was just a different feel with Golden Dreams.
Well, and I think you've got a very good point. Is the Rotunda was much better utilized in Golden Dreams,
well,
rather than kind of hidden. And
here's the thing: when I go to San Francisco,
here's the thing.
I don't say, "Wow, that's the Rotunda from The Little Mermaid." I go, "Wow, that's Golden Dreams."
And I'm like, hey, that's the real one.
Well, but in my
Yes,
head,
I
I don't conflate it with
Yeah.
Little Mermaid.
I feel like the three of us need to go to San Francisco someday and hit like the Walt Disney Family Museum.
I still
Ghirardelli,
haven't gone to the Walt
that
Disney Family
thing.
Museum.
Also, well, when things open up, we'll get that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of places we could go that would be pretty cool.
We could go to DCA 1.0 landmarks.
Yeah, we need to go over to Sacramento and see the California letters.
I would cry if
Yeah.
I see the California letters. What state are they in? Do we know if they're in like the cloud state? Are they in the rainbow state?
They're in the California state.
That's very funny, Mr.
I
Daps.
know.
You're a very funny guy.
All right, Murray, what was the fourth area of Disney California Adventure opening day?
Fourth area was Paradise Pier.
Paradise Pier, which I will admit in the last 10 minutes has gotten lower in my estimation of it, because Golden Dreams I thought was in Paradise Pier, and now that it's not, I'm kind of like, okay.
There are some important things.
You got Pacific Wharf, you got Paradise Gardens, you got the Lagoon, and you got the Wharf in all of this. Is that correct?
Luminaria.
Luminaria, which I don't know that I ever saw.
I never saw it, but I love it.
Did you see it?
Oh, I saw it. Yeah.
Really?
Did you film it?
No, very sadly, I didn't.
I kind of wish we had that. Like, that would be super cool.
There are definitely things that, like, because it was so early, I had a camera. It wasn't a great camera.
Yeah.
Both photo and video. And so,
Same.
you know, it's the big clunky video camera. It's a big bulky digital camera.
Why did
sometimes
that?
I'd have it, sometimes I wouldn't. Oh, we're getting into a lot of random photos, but we'll just let it run. So I didn't do Luminaria because of it being Christmas time, me being in college. That was always during finals.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't always get to the park. So I only saw it. Well, it was only 1 year. So I think I only saw it once.
Okay.
Did I only see it once? Maybe twice. I feel like I saw it twice.
Well,
But,
yeah. For my defense, I might have seen it and just not remembered it.
There's not.
I can remember my friends at the time, and as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, they totally could have dragged me there, and I would have been so like in love with Fantasmic that I'm like, okay, whatever, that's something else. I think to me, as I'm looking back at it, you had the what was the name of it now? I'm forgetting. The Fun Wheel.
The Sun Wheel.
Sun Wheel. Sun Wheel was a highlight. I think California Screaming was definitely a highlight. And then the food locations, I think, were actually a highlight too.
Malabarito. The puns.
Yes. Mainly
the cannibal corn dog.
Yeah.
That was not the name of it. The corn dog guy was a cannibal though.
Yeah, but
I'm finding a picture. He was a cannibal.
We ask for the Fun Wheel, Sun Wheel, swinging or not?
Swinging.
Murray, swinging or not?
Oh, it's swinging.
Okay,
always.
So we're all on the same page for that. To me, that was one of the coolest things to ever experience ever. Like, I still love
it's so fun
in its newest incarnation. I love the swinging, what is it, Mickey's Fun Wheel today. I just think it's ridiculous and funny. And we went on opening day or opening press event of Pixar Pier, didn't we, Murray?
We did. Okay.
Yeah, that was a fun video.
He's eating a corn dog. The corn dog king is eating a corn dog.
Is already eating a corn dog?
Well, and this is
He's
actually
a cannibal. But that's what was so great about DCA 1.0.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird.
Not that I support cannibalism, just like the weirdness.
It was
of,
just weird.
The absolute weirdness of like the corn dog king
And
is eating a corn dog.
Yeah.
So,
And then you had California Screaming, which was just something not like we were used to at Disney in the Disneyland Resort at all, and was amazing as you got blasted off at that opening moment that uses the same technology as some aircraft carriers, which I think is incredible.
I think it's still one of the best roller coasters.
I went on that roller coaster with a youth pastor the first time I was ever on it, and I loved it because he definitely swore the entire thing because he didn't know what was going to happen, and that just made it that much more hilarious and fun. And Incredicoaster, which it is today, instead of California Screaming, thank you, Ryan, was, I mean, it is today too. It's just it's a fantastic attraction.
It is. Yeah,
California Screaming was my first upside down roller coaster,
which is fun too.
I'd like to brag about that.
I always want to get that picture of like where you're upside down.
But then Incredicoaster, I rode 8 times in one night.
Which you'd like to brag about also.
Just to brag about all that.
Let's talk briefly. I mean, I think we all love Incredicoaster / California Screaming. It's fun, and I love what they've done with the theming. Remember the food.
Okay.
So you've got these
Burger Invasion.
Yes, Burger
May
Invasion.
I talk about Burger Invasion?
Please do.
Sure.
It's a meteor shower, but cross out meteor and write meteor like the meat.
MEA.
MEA. Guys, I loved the McDonald's Disneyland partnership.
That area was so fun.
Does McDonald's have a place in Disneyland? No. Was it delicious? Yes.
But does Disney have a place in McDonald's? Yes.
Absolutely.
I want those toys still that I did not get.
Yeah.
We got 2 of them
Me too.
out of like 7. But Burger Invasion was fantastic. I loved it. And then instead of a play place that your child could normally play in after eating Happy Meal, played the SS Rustworthy.
Oh, I love
it. You go bounce
and I
up
think
and down.
I saw Clocky post something about that earlier, but that was just a fun area.
So you had
now you can just buy alcohol there, and I would prefer the SS Rustworthy.
You had the dinosaur that was selling sunglasses.
Yeah.
Which is a lot like the cabin barn dinosaur.
Oh, totally.
Pizza Ooh Mau Mau.
With the Tarzan, but it's not Tarzan. It was a skateboarder or something like that.
That
so good.
Entire area
was underrated.
Was so underrated.
Yeah.
I loved Pizza Ooh Mau Mau. I loved SS Rustworthy, except for when kids would blow water at me. Didn't love that part.
Question. I would actually take that version of DCA over today's. Like, I would much prefer the old version than what we have today.
I don't love Paradise Garden Park. I don't. I think it's a little bit of non-theming. I think
it's safe.
It's safe, but there's no theming. I would take a McDonald's.
And that's one of the best bathrooms.
Because, do you know why it's the best bathroom?
I do. Go ahead, though.
Because it's still DCA 1.0. It's Route 66 theme.
I actually think that whole area of the park was better opening day.
If you were to ask me my favorite bathroom in Disney California Adventure Park, everyone knows this because I talk about it way too much. It's very weird.
Way too much. I just said I know this.
It's very weird to have a favorite restroom in Disney California Adventure Park, but
I feel like that's another live stream. Is we should talk about favorite.
Oh, I have favorite restrooms in like Disney World. I have one.
Oh, definitely.
I could talk about that all day long. But my favorite restroom in Disney California Adventure Park is the one in Paradise Garden Park that was next to the old McDonald's, because it is still. It's like they forgot to retheme it, and that's what I love.
Like, nobody will notice. It's okay. There can be cactus in our bathrooms here,
and I love it. And there's like Route 66, and there's cacti. It is my favorite restroom because I walk into it and I go, wow.
And then you got Orange Stinger right outside. Like, that was.
I loved Orange Stinger.
Like, I actually, Caitie is saying it wrong. It's Pizza Ooh Mau Mau.
You're supposed to be saying it, I think.
How am I supposed to do it right?
But Orange Stinger, I think, also was a lot of fun. That area,
Malibu.
Okay, don't get me started on Malibu.
Malibu,
Oh, don't
I
get
have
me started on
strong
Malibu.
opinions about, and
You've got strong opinions about.
I have incredibly strong
You have
opinions.
strong negative opinions about Malibu.
I have strong stomach wrenching opinions about Malibu because I got to go on Malibu right after they had to spray a ton of Lysol and whatever it is else that they did. Because the person who went on before me did not have such a good time. So I don't actually care about Malibu other than I knew what happened in my seat right before me, and that was not fun.
So I love Malibu. I used to go on Malibu.
It didn't smell like Lysol.
Okay, I was like 14 and I love how old was I?
Because it didn't smell like Lysol.
I was an age. It's probably like 12. I loved Malibu.
Yep.
Because
didn't smell like Lysol.
It didn't smell like Lysol, but there was zero wait. And so if I very politely looked at the cast member and said, "Can I go again, please?" They'd say, "Yeah, I don't care. I get paid minimum wage. Please go again."
Yeah, that's true.
I loved Malibu so much. Also,
this is screaming, but
look at when there was waves.
Yeah, waves
the Pier.
were really cool.
I get that they can't do waves with World of Color.
But they stopped them way before then.
I know, but the wave with wave she was
so
nice.
Here's my question for this whole area. What was your favorite attraction of the area?
Period.
So you say Malibu. Murray, what you say?
Period.
I'm slightly leaving out Screamin', but I really did love Malibu. I was actually very sad when they took it out.
Okay, I'm going to go with Screamin' also because I just thought that was such an incredible, like they mixed Disney with, like it was a good mix between
Incredible
Disney.
Coaster.
Yeah, and so I'm going to go with this one. I just really enjoyed it.
It's well done. I also like that it looks like a wooden coaster, but it's not.
So, we've kind of made it around all 4 areas of the park. My question for you guys today is Disney California Adventure, which we call 2.0. Was it a good move forward? Hard-hitting questions here.
Murray, would you like to answer first? I'd like to clarify.
Yeah, no problem, Murray.
I do
The
think
whole internet is watching.
I do think it was a good move forward. There's a lot of things we didn't talk about. I'll do a shout out to, I love the Mission Tortilla Factory. It's such a cheesy like attraction but non-attraction. But I loved it. I love the little video. I love the fact that you can get a tasting of tortillas.
Yeah, 100%. Especially on your birthday, you get 5.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Well,
don't forget that. Yeah.
I had to go. I think that's actually what got me started to
I had
go
like
on my
12
birthday
birthdays when I discovered that. Yeah.
No, I was I kept to my birthday. I'll just say.
Good job.
But I went I started when I moved down here. I went every single time on my birthday because of that. But I even though there's little things like that, I wish that was still there because I think
I love that. So would you take that over Ghirardelli?
I would.
I would too.
I love Ghirardelli as well. I'm from whatever I was saying about Burbank ice cream, I love ice cream.
I was gonna say I've been Ghirardelli with you more than anybody else that I know. Like you're the one that hey, can we just stop by? And I'm like, okay, whatever.
But yeah, if Mission Tortilla Factory are open, oh my gosh, I don't think you'd hear me. I think it'd be every hour. So
do you think maybe they missed on the business model for that?
For Tortilla Factory specifically?
Yeah. Because honestly, if I could have bought something at the end of it a little bit more, I probably would have, as opposed to just being like, hey, you got your free tortilla. And if they could have mixed a little bit of what you got with Tortilla Factory in the tour, and at the end of it, you could buy a taco for $1 or $2, whatever it was.
I think that's what I was thinking.
The perfect.
Because the the Mexican food is across from it, and even still.
Yep.
And so that was the weird thing, was like you still had to make your way across
Right
and then
there.
you could buy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they always did the food demonstrations, but you could never eat that.
Yep.
They just sort of like cook something and they're like, and this is what you make with it. And now we're going to throw it away. And you're like,
Good
what?
luck. Yeah.
Um,
wait, no, I'll buy it right now. Give me,
Yeah. Anyway, but back to your question. I just had to do a shout out for that.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I do think that 2.0 was the step forward, because there's a lot of things that got dated. I actually think they needed to redo Paradise Pier in some way. And I won't say, we'll save it for 2.0 on what I think about Pixar Pier now, but I do
me, Murray.
looking at old photos and old videos. I really love Condor Flats, but I remember it being incredibly hot, and so for them to make it more lush with greenery and that
all of DCA 1.0 was really hot. Like that's one thing they fixed a lot better than opening day, was the entire park was very, very warm.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard to say on whether or not it was going to not be that way in the long term, because they always, allow for plants and trees and stuff to grow, or things to be added in that way. So I feel like it's hard to say on whether or not it was going to stay that way.
Right.
But I don't think Condor Flats was going to, because they were trying to make that desert.
Yeah,
it really was a desert airfield. And that's what they said it was. And so I think they made the better move to make it like a national park setting, for example, for changing it. Again, I love Buena Vista Street a lot. Like I do like it more than what?
But what about Smokey the Bear?
Well, maybe he needs a land. Maybe he's trying to get his own land. We can't quite tell what is going on with Smokey the Bear.
I feel like he's trying to get his own land at this point.
Yep.
Apparently, since Disneyland's been closed, he's just been taking over there. And in Disney World, I have found out. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
There, man. I don't know what's going
Every
on.
time you bring up national parks at the old Concord Flats area, I think of Smokey Bear and how he's everywhere now.
As you should.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to buy some of those Smokey the Bear, I don't know, trinkets, socks, whatever it is they're selling at Disney California Adventure now, just to be like, hey, look, this is why we're talking about it. But anyway, keep going.
He's everywhere. Anyway, no, I'm sorry. Keep going.
So Murray likes or thinks 2.0 was a good choice. Caitie, what do you think?
Yes, overall, I think 2.0 was a great choice. I think that I think Buena Vista Street is a great tie-in to Walt Disney's history and I think that's a great start for the Disneyland Resort.
Yeah.
I will say, and I just said this on Twitter.
Dun, 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 dun.
Bah, 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 bah. I was watching a YouTube video and somebody said it's no secret that DCA 2.0 is a better themed park. I think that's untrue. I think that if we're going off the argument of June 12th, 2015, overall, I still don't think the park as a whole is better themed than DCA 1.0. Does that mean it's a worse park? No, absolutely not. I think that there are way more advantages to DCA 2.0. But I think DCA 1.0 is better themed as a whole.
Here's what I'd like to do.
Okay.
I would like, and Murray, you have to say if you're cool with this, because I'm not giving you any warning on this, is I would like to have another live stream in the near future where Caitie makes the proposal that DCA 1.0 is a better themed park than DCA 2.0. And I would like to see Murray, if you're cool with this, Murray, because I haven't given you any warning that I'm going to do this, is Murray, I want you to make the argument that DCA 2.0 is better themed, and DCA 2.0 on June whatever 2012 is a better themed park.
Like that date specifically.
Yeah, because I think it needs to be opening day. So
June 15th.
Because you apparently didn't see my reply to Caitie's tweet that I agreed with her.
Yeah, so but for a good debate, for a good debate, we have to take both sides. And I think there is an argument to be made for what Caitie's saying. But I think there's also an argument to be made for June 15th, 2012. And I'd love to see both, because I think there are definitely elements to be appreciated from both.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, as I look back at this, as we're now approaching the 20th anniversary of Disney's California Adventure, Disney California Adventure, there's a lot I really loved about 1.0. Like, there were things that we just really enjoyed, but there's also, on the flip side, a ton I really enjoy about 2.0. And you could go from entertainment from 1.0 to entertainment 2.0, attractions from 1.0 to attractions for 2.0. Like, there's a lot of different things that we could dissect and look at, of like, hey, they did really good at this, and they did really good over here at this as well. And I'd be curious just to hear like an argument for both, like, and maybe even flip it. I don't care. You guys can figure it out. But I'm
not arguing for 2.0. I'm so sorry.
You two can fight over it. But I think you have a point there. Is like 1.0 has a lot to be celebrated and to love that maybe has been lost over the last 10 to 10 years, 9 to 11 years now that I'm thinking about it.
DCA 2.0 is a very abstract theme. It's, if you take the spirit of the California dream, that is the park. That's not going to be...
It wasn't the spirit of the California dream. It was the spirit of Walt Disney's dream.
That's still very abstract. And that's still something that not every guest is going to get.
Yes.
I think that even though...
This is for the other live stream, though.
You could argue that DCA 1.0 is tacky. I'm going back to this. DCA 1.0 is tacky in parts and too punny to make up for the lack of...
Those are the things I loved about it.
Yeah, I think that those things, guests walked in and they said, I understand this. Even if they hated it, they said, I understand this.
Yep.
Yeah. So
and then there was also that a cappella group. There was the band that would play. Like, I'm forgetting some of the names, but I can remember. Was it Route 66? And what was the other group? Do you remember, Murray?
Where specifically?
There was Route 66, and they were I think they were the band, the rock band, but they played in Hollywood Backlots and also in Sunshine Plaza. But there was also that a cappella group that was like, they would more often be in, I think they were in the Backlots too. And they were super good too. Like, that has never been replaced to the same level. Like, they were, to me, Disney California Adventures version of the Dapper Dans, but more modern. And like, there were some really magical things that happened in DCA 1.0. And
I know.
And as we're and tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of this, which is really awesome. And go ahead, Murray.
Sorry. I would say, I had to look up a date real quick. I think what it's often compared to, and it's a bad comparison, is Tokyo Disney Sea. And I think
what?
Often, well, in saying that, oh my gosh, like Tokyo Disney Sea is amazing. It's my favorite Disney park.
Yeah.
And yes, it is extremely well done. It could put any of the parks in Disney World to shame. I mean, I will just say that. So it's like, Disney Sea is a bad comparison to any other Disney park, period. But I think people do that. Yes, it was open in the same year. I think Disney California Adventure, though, 1.0 was actually a really good park, because Tokyo Disney Sea is actually not completely a Disney park, for one thing. It's not actually owned by Disney.
True.
They didn't use their own money for it. And so I think that's one where it's a bad comparison. If you look at the other things that were being made at the time of California Adventure, it's Disney Studios Paris and Hong Kong Disneyland were being developed.
I don't feel like that's fair to bring either of those as a comparison.
Well, but that's the thing is like if you're going to really compare them, I think those are the ones that you compare California Adventure to.
Do you think you can compare it to Disney's Hollywood Studios? Because to me, it's always been the two I would compare it to is Disney's Hollywood Studios and the studios at Disneyland Paris. And I think it's better than the studios in Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
And I think arguments with Disney's Hollywood Studios.
But I wouldn't compare it to Hollywood Studios. Like I'm just thinking of like when it was made.
Yeah.
What are the constraints? What are the parameters around when it
Sure.
was made? And again, that's the whole thing is like, like that's what I mean by it's usually compared to Tokyo Disney Sea.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
The same year, Disney Studios Paris was opened the year after. Actually,
Yeah.
So it was being built as DCA was opening. And as Disney Sea was opening, and then you have Hong Kong Disneyland, which was being probably developed during this time, or starting to be developed in those phases of like how what do we want to have in this part. And I think that's the thing is like I think actually California Adventure, in a way, was more ambitious than those parks, than Hong Kong Disneyland and Disney Studios Paris.
That's an interesting idea.
Because it had some unique rides. You have Screamin', you have Soarin', you have a unique movie.
Yeah.
They were trying to do something with Superstar Limo. They were trying to do some interesting entertainment. It was entirely new environments. There was no copy of other environments that were in other parks.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think that's the thing is that I hate that it's compared to Tokyo Disney Sea. It's just the fact that everyone says it was built by Disney, but it's like it's not owned by Disney. It's not it's not an actual Disney park in a way.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair.
So yeah, I never think that that's a good comparison. You could actually argue that's a horrible argument.
I agree.
Just by like research and everything else. So that's where I think 1.0 is a great park actually for when it was open.
Yeah. So as we start to wrap this up and look forward to just a few hours away, Disney California Adventure hitting its 20th birthday anniversary, whatever you want to call it. What is your favorite memory from DCA 1.0? Because Disney's all about memories. Like, yes, there's great attractions, there's stores, restaurants, whatever. But at the end of the day, Disney's is all really about the moments that you experience while you're there. And when Disney's at its best, it's all about moments. It's not about, hey, we made this a really cool attraction. So Murray, you can go first, then Caitie, because it looks like she's thinking about it. And then I'll go last. What's that iconic DCA 1.0 moment as we look back over the last 20 years that you think about? And I feel like maybe we want to do another one of these that's about Disney 2.0 or DCA 2.0 next week or two, maybe even next week. And I know we usually do movies at this time, but this is a special week. Like, it's not every time.
Well, there's a 2.0 sort of opening date. We could always wait until then.
Yeah. So what's that moment that stands out to you for DCA 1.0?
I was thinking through, it's actually hard in some ways, but I think the thing that I always come back to, and I keep telling stories of in a lot of different contexts. This is going to sound like it's a big one. It's not that much, but so like I said, we would go for my brother's birthday to Disneyland Resort a lot. There was one time that so one of my brother's best friends is a brother of one of my best friends, and so they actually tagged along, and their parents as well, and so our parents went off and did whatever, and this also probably speaks to like how clear of crowds DCA was. And we're just like, okay, we're going to DCA, this is primarily where we're going to be at.
I remember also, yes.
We're just like, we'll just go around DCA, whatever. So, and like all of us just split up. And so we're all like going to meet back. Or we knew we were going to see each other. That was the other thing is like, we just knew we were going to run into each other at different times.
It was very possible there. Yes.
So, So this was around January, so it's a very cold, actually rainy day in some ways, like lightly sprinkling, I think, in the morning, but not rain the whole time. So my friend, the brother of my brother's friend, he and I ran around. We were doing stuff. At one point, we see our brothers just like literally like kind of run over and go on Grizzly River. And we're like, okay, fine. They can do Grizzly River. We're not doing Grizzly River. It's too
Right.
cold. So then I don't remember what we went on, but we went on like a few rides, and then we came back through and went past Grizzly River, and we just looked over at the raft, and we saw just them, in one raft going on, and we're like, wait, we've been going on rides. How are they still on? And then we kind of waited, and we saw them exit and go back on again. Supposedly they went on, I think, 8 to 9 times that day.
I 100% believe that because I have done that.
8 to 9 times on Grizzly River?
Yeah, they wouldn't even make you get off. You could just go on over and over.
I think that's what ended up happening. I think we joined them once. I feel like we went on it, but we
which
only
is
did
funny
it once.
because I rarely go on that attraction now. And like Caitie and our friend Christina went on it a couple years, I guess a year ago. And like other people in our DAPs family will go on that. And I'll be like, I'm good. And I think part of that is because I've done the thing where it's like, oh, I went on it like 20 times in a row. I don't remember how many it was. And you're like, that was the coolest thing ever. And then like, I never want to do that again. Like I'm freezing. Like it was that's like you're on it, but the moment you're off of it is like, oh, that was a bad choice.
Yeah, they just. I mean, when I still ask them about it, like I think they say like, well, I don't know, we got wet once, so we just stayed on because we were already wet. So it's like, well, all right, yeah,
100% it. And if you can get away with not getting up, then at least you're still sitting in the same place, so that helps too.
I totally get it. Yeah, but I would not do it.
That's a good memory. Caitie, DCA 1.0 memory.
My best friend from middle school and high school. We did crazy things like that all the time. I specifically remember like Grizzly River Run. We did like probably 10 plus times. Yeah. We would always do this. And we couldn't drive yet. We were like 13 or 14. Then our parents would pick us up and be like, why are you soaking wet? That was very common occurrence. There was also the time we bought pirate swords and eye patches from somewhere in the Sunshine Plaza. We walked around with eye patches and pirate swords.
That'd be fun to see pictures of.
I do have pictures.
Okay, good.
So don't worry. I have photos.
Murray sent videos for this, and you did not bring pictures. I'm just saying.
Bro, I'm not going to expose my 13-year-old self. I was embarrassing.
I have no problem with it.
She was having a great time, and we love her, but that was a different time. I'm pretty sure I've posted photos somewhere.
Okay.
Anywho, those to me, specifically my middle school best friend / high school best friend, we got into so many shenanigans in DCA 1.0. Like, it's crazy. But those are the fondest memories to me, is the times that, because, being preteens / teens in California Adventure, having annual passes.
That was a good place.
And having your parents drop you off is a lot of fun. Yeah. And so those are very fond memories to me that I love.
And for me, I would say like Route 66, Minnie's Fly Girls, Step in Time, and then Blast. Probably more Blast than Step in Time because it just didn't last that very, very long. Those were the things that I remember of DCA 1.0 and Sunshine Plaza. Like, as much as there's so many different areas of DCA to enjoy, like there was something special about Sunshine Plaza. And like I couldn't tell you what exactly it was, but I do have fond memories of it. And going over to Condor Flats was a beautiful place too. But like seeing the waves and the sunshine and all of those things really did for a kid that came out from northern Minnesota, where you're winter 9 months of the year, to suddenly be in this celebration of California. Like, that was kind of the overarching theme, was perfect for where I was in life, of like, hey, it's California, we're going to celebrate California. I kind of think that was my favorite thing. I don't have any one specific memory. Like, I can remember going on soaring over California the first time. I can remember some of the other attractions for the first time in shows, but it was more of the feeling of like, hey, I've moved out to California. This is a celebration of that move. And that's really a cool thing. And that's kind of what I remember about DCA 1.0. And I think Murray is right. Is like, we spend a lot of time in Disney California Adventure now. Like, if we were to take a look at what our average day at the Disneyland Resort is prior to all of the craziness that has happened, is we go to Disneyland, get our coffee, have fun a little bit there real quick, and then spend a good portion of the afternoon, early evening dinner in Disney's California Adventure before heading back to Ender Night at Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
And so easily we spent a half of our day at Disney's California Adventure before.
And most of our day at Disney California Adventure Park is soaking up Disney California Adventure Park.
Yeah, it's enjoying entertainment, it's enjoying food, it's enjoying just being in Disney's California Adventure, Disney California Adventure. And so I think it's only appropriate to celebrate 20th anniversary of Disney California Adventure and look forward to the next 20 years, which I have no clue what that park's going to look like then. We'll have Avengers Campus and who knows what else by the 40th anniversary of this, which hopefully we'll be at and we'll be covering. And but it is a special thing to be thinking of, looking back. Like, we've had 20 years of this new park that used to be a parking lot, and we've gotten to be there for a lot of it. And I feel like we're going to look back at this someday and be like, that's a really awesome / weird thing to look back at and be like, yeah, I used to park there. Now I scream there, whatever it is. And that's a cool thing, and it's something to be celebrated. And we're going to be celebrating it pretty much all week on DAPs Magic. On Tuesday night, we've got Doug Marsh, who's going to talk about his experience opening day at Disney's California Adventure. He waited all night, apparently, to be one of the first people in this park. Only Doug, yeah. But Roger was there too. And so Geeks Corner this Tuesday night at 9:30. You're not going to want to miss that, because it's going to go into what it was like to be there opening day. And I think maybe next Sunday night, I haven't run this by either of you, but maybe next Sunday night we can celebrate DCA 2.0, which I think it was one of the great honors of my life, was to get to cover the opening dedication day of Disney California Adventure 2.0, as we call it, in 2012.
And that was one of my first, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You interrupted me.
One of my first big memories of following DAPs was the opening of DCA 2.0, because, as some of you know, I was very sick in high school and I had just gotten a CAT scan done that day, so I couldn't go to the opening of DCA 2.0. So I watched all of DAPs Magic's coverage of DCA 2.0. So that is something that
so I think maybe
soft spot right here.
Maybe next Sunday night we'll talk about that. But I think throughout the week, this week, you'll see some special coverage of different celebrations and happy things from Disney California Adventure, previously Disney's California Adventure. And make sure to check out Murray's Instagram, which is at DapsMurray, because he's been posting really fun photos of DCA in the old school DCA 1.0, I guess as you'd say it. And you can always follow Caitie on Instagram as well at CaitieBear13. I don't know why, but you can. 13.
Oh, I was like, that's rude.
No, I think you should follow Caitie. I just don't know the 13 thing.
That's my favorite number.
And then you can follow me at Mr. Daps. And it's going to be a fun week celebrating. I think we just need to celebrate this park that has brought us so much joy over the last 20 years. And particularly like the last 5 or 6 years where we've gotten to, how many years has it been, Murray? 8?
9.
Of what?
9? Since we really started hanging out.
I found out it's been 9, actually almost 10.
Wow.
This year.
Oh God.
So
later on.
Like I actually think like this is maybe something we talk about next week, but I spent the night in Disney California Adventure waiting to get in for the 50th of Disneyland. And I could tell you exactly the bench that I spent the entire night on in Pixar Pier now or Paradise Pier back in the day. And it was not comfortable. It was miserable, but it was totally worth it. I don't know about your.
I complain. I was in. It was Condor Flats back then, but I
think you were ahead of me then.
Flats area. Was I? I'm. Yeah. And you and I, what we're talking about, I know exactly what you mean because it snaked all the way around that park.
It was miserable. It was so magical.
Oh, it was crazy. I have photos of not inside DCA, but the get into DCA part,
which was magical.
Which was crazy.
Also. Yeah. No. That was a very incredible moment. And I feel like we're going to have to document that and talk about it at some point. But anyway, if you haven't done it yet, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because we're going to have some really cool coverage in the coming week of Disney California Adventure and all of the historical events that are around it. And I think we've got some special videos going up that are historically significant. Murray can tell me if I'm wrong. And but it's one of those weeks that as we look back over the last 20 years and in the last 10 months the last 10 months haven't been so fun, but the last 20 years of Disney California Adventure really have been something to be celebrated and to embrace and to enjoy. And you can go there. You can be part of Disney California Adventure with the reopening of Buena Vista Street with Disney California or Downtown Disney. So we're going to hopefully celebrate that effectively this week, the best we can from a COVID environment situation. Make sure to follow all three of us on the social media. You can find Daps Murray anywhere. You can find Caitie Bear 13 anywhere. You can find Mr. Daps anywhere, hopefully as well. But we're glad that you joined us for a celebration of Disney California Adventure. I need to say it right. Disney's California Adventure. 1.0. Next week we'll do 2.0 if you two are good with that.
I'm all good.
Thank you both for joining us. And we look forward to celebrating a very special park, I think, to the three of us and to many, many people more. This coming week as Disney California Adventure, I feel like I have to say both, celebrates its 20th anniversary. And keep your eye open on what Daps Magic does this week, because I think we're going to have some fun things coming up. So we hope you have a fantastic night, and we look forward to hopefully sooner rather than later seeing you in the parks.
Bye.
See ya.